Hey, Stacy, our friends at Moink are at it again.
I love Moink. Do tell.
As you know, I never miss out on a Moink delivery, including grass-fed and grass-finished beef and lamb, pastured pork and chicken, and wild-caught Alaskan salmon. And now they have a new limited-time offer that gives new subscribers free ground beef for a year.
That's a year's worth of casseroles, stews, burgers, meatballs, and more, all delivered straight to your door. Amazing.
Isn't it? You cannot beat the convenience. Moink makes it so easy to eat quality meat. Their animals are raised outdoors, their fish swim wild in the ocean, and Moink meat is free of antibiotics and hormones. We're talking the highest quality meat at fair prices.
It's true that the convenience is great, but honestly, the best part is that Moink meat just tastes better.
Join the Moink movement now. Sign up at moinkbox.com/DIJFY, and listeners of the show get free ground beef for a year. Pick what meats you want, change what you get each month, and cancel anytime.
That's delicious, ethical meat delivered to your door, plus free ground beef for a year at moinkbox.com/DIJFY, short for Didn't I Just Feed You?
Welcome to Didn't I Just Feed You? A podcast about feeding kids.
Hi, I'm Megan.
And I'm Stacy. Hey guys, before we jump into today's conversation, we want to take a second to encourage you to join the Didn't I Just Feed You community. It's free, it's easy, and we're there. And more importantly, a whole bunch of you guys are there too, sharing tips, sharing stories, and asking and answering questions. It's the best place to be on the internet, if you ask me. And all you need to do is share your email with us. Nobody else.
Personally, we think that makes it safer and even easier than, a Facebook. We'll put a link in our show notes to make it easy for you to join, or you can go to the community page on our site or find us on Instagram where we are at Didn't I Just Feed You, and grab that link in the bio any old time.
And hey, if you guys are able to comfortably support Didn't I Just Feed You, if you feel like we give you tons of value and maybe you want some perks too, then we would love to welcome you to our community as a supporting member. Supporting members can pledge their support monthly or annually, and they receive awesome perks, including 2 bonus episodes every single month, live events, lifetime access to a private Instagram feed, a huge quarterly giveaway. And we're actually going to also be getting opinions from our supporting members about what more they want to see, how we can add maximum value to that community. So it really is a worthwhile place if it's something that you can afford.
I'm just going to add that I think community support makes a great gift for one of your friends. Maybe you know someone who's an avid listener and they would like to join in on the fun. Gift away. Okay, enough about us. It's time to get into one of our favorite episodes of the year. It might be our longest running annual tradition to talk about cookbooks with Brian Hogan Stewart of Salt and Spine podcast.
Brian Hogan Stewart brings to the table over a decade of experience leading media relations and storytelling efforts for culinary clients, news outlets, and advocacy organizations. A former journalist, Brian is a cookbook-obsessed, once-budding chef who skipped culinary school to pursue a career in communications, and he's been bridging the gap ever since. As the host and creator of Salt and Spine, a top-ranked podcast on stories behind cookbooks, he interviews leading authors, chefs, and activists. He's held in-depth, in-person interviews with Nigella Lawson, Samin Nosrat, Jacques Pepin, Diana Henry, Rose Levy-Birnbaum, and over 100 other authors, and his work was nominated for a Food Reporting Award from leading Italian newspaper, Corriere della Sera. A native of Iowa and a proud alum of the University of Iowa, his vices include any and all Midwestern baked goods, especially scotcheroos and puppy chow. And who can argue with that? Brian, you're back. I think you might be, I probably said this last year too. You might have the most guest appearances on Didn't I Just Feed You of any other guest. It's a very highly esteemed position. Well,
Yes.
listen, we love this because it's gone from just having you guest to being a real Didn't I Just Feed You tradition. To talk about cookbooks this time of year, to reflect back on what's come out over the course of the year, to give people ideas for holiday season gifting, and also just to talk to you. It's our favorite thing to do.
It really is. We talk about it all the time. We're like, oh, we get to interview Brian again. And then we both leave with a long list of cookbooks that we're going to buy.
Yes.
Which is not the worst thing. It's not the worst thing.
Not the worst thing. This is it. This is the one. We got to power through our lists. I want to start with something that I'm excited about, which is gathering again. So, we're shifting into this new phase of life where, COVID is probably just going to be a reality like the flu. And for those of us who feel comfortable, whatever the circumstances, getting together with people, what are the cookbooks that we should be grabbing so that we can cook up big meals for getting together with our family and friends? Yes. Yes. I love that you started with this. They have such a fun relationship that seems so genuine.
Yes, I am so glad you mentioned other recipes in that cookbook because I have it and I just keep making over and over again the oatmeal cream pie muffins, which have like a cream cheese frosting on them, and that would be a really fun dessert. But they're also or like a brunch, if you're hosting people for brunch. But they're really great, like kid breakfast. It feels like a win during the week. They're like, "Ooh, we're having cupcakes for breakfast." Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a riff on the gathering board, but in a more thoughtful, hearty way, right? Like a gathering board, sometimes if you're eating and drinking, you might not eat enough.
It also feels so appropriate for the time because gathering boards are so composed and like Instagrammable, and there's like little sections for all these things and artful. And there's something really beautiful for this moment that just feels big and home styley, like riffing off of these comfort foods like nachos and Italian subs. That's just so like, I don't know, down and dirty because we're just so excited to all gather and be together again. Like it's not about like anything being picture perfect. It's just like being together and joy. Yeah.
I'm saying.
I feel like I'm going to say that every day now. That's going to be mad. Why do a cheese board when I can do just that things up?
Yes. Okay. On the whole other end of the spectrum, Stacey asked you about like what her fantasy life is right now. And my real life is I am so tired of cooking, but I still want to eat well and like have things that are flavorful and not super basic. So what are your favorite cookbooks for those of us who are just really tired of cooking? Which is fair. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that you paired them together in the same category because they are also like in real life friends and they do a really cute Instagram series where they like send each other ingredients and then they cook together. That's also worth checking out if you need some inspiration. We'll definitely link to it in show notes. Yes, it's something with snacking. It's hilarious. Yes.
Okay. We talked about our fantasy, we talked about our real life, and now I want to just get down to some brass tacks. What if you have a friend who's always bringing you cookies and cakes? And actually, this is part fantasy too, because Megan and I don't live close enough for her to actually bring them to my house as frequently as I would love. But I'd like to think of Megan as that friend to me. So, what baking books would you have me consider gifting Megan. I love this book. Megan, do you have this book yet?
I don't.
Oh, no. I love this book. I think it's fantastic. I love Valerie. She also has a fantastic energy. So we're going to link to her Instagram as well. But I like that also she expands baking beyond just like cakes and cookies and things that people might traditionally think of as just, snack time or dessert time. And there's like breakfast baking. There's like baking for all these different times of day and occasions that I like really love as someone who's not naturally a baker. I'm so excited that you put this on. Yes.
Yes. And as a like professional baker, that's the kind of book that I appreciate because it's approachable for anyone, but for me who like I make cookies and cakes so often, being able to stretch and make something that I don't always go to is so good for my creativity. And I haven't found my great like Chinese market here in Chattanooga yet, so to be able to make those things will be really fun. I'm going to also like jump us ahead because I need to gift something to Stacy and I want to be like a little bit strategic about this. So maybe could you recommend a cookbook or two that is like for a teenager who doesn't maybe want to cook, but we're going to gift it to Stacy so that maybe it motivates him to cook or have an interest in cooking.
I like your strategy.
I'm not being sneaky. It's a strategy. Oh, yes. Yes. Okay.
That's Megan's favorite.
Yes. This is so on the nose for Stacy's real life. I mean, in the last couple of months, she posted on Instagram about how Isaac, her oldest son, he was sick, so he didn't eat for a little while. And then when he finally came out, he wasn't like binging shows or doing like movie marathons. When he emerged from his room and he was finally hungry, it was like TikTok videos. And he was like, I want this viral ramen recipe. And Stacy was able to recreate it. So such a good recommendation.
It's exactly spot on. I mean, he's just not that interested in food in general. Like he loves to eat, but he just likes to eat what tastes good. If making food is too hard, like if I'm not home and he needs to make himself a sandwich and he feels lazy, he just won't eat, or he'll order. It's just not essential to him the way it is to us. And that's how some people are. But TikTok is the first thing that has like really turned him on, where he's like, oh, like this is cool. Like, can we make this? So I'm psyched about these recommendations. Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like when TikTok first launched, there was this conversation among food professionals, especially ones who produce content for social media, like, oh, should we get on TikTok? And a lot of us who were already established, maybe a little older, were like, no, like that's not the right format. That's not where our people are, And we were wrong. And I love how it actually created space for new and younger food professionals and food lovers, if they're not professional, to experiment and expand and kind of change the way we were thinking about food videos and recipes in a way that's really useful that like we couldn't have done because that's just not our frame of reference. I think it's very cool.
I think we're going to have to get a whole other episode about TikTok food going now.
Actually, we totally should.
Before we hear more from Brian, let's take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors.
Megan, you know how ever since I wrote Winner, Winner, Chicken Dinner, we've nicknamed me the Chicken Lady? Well, I have a nickname for you too now. And don't worry, it's more glamorous than mine.
Do tell.
You, my friend, are the butter queen. I've always known it, but your excitement over our latest sponsor, Challenge Butter, has sealed the deal.
Yes, I love that. I am the butter queen. I mean, we all love butter, right? But for me, butter is essential.
I get it. All of my favorite Megan recipes, both sweet and savory, rely on butter. From your famous biscuits to your butter bath corn, your garlic steak bites to your genius butter roasted sweet potatoes.
It's why I'm always stocked up on Challenge Butter. I use both their salted and unsalted butters, as well as their European-style butter, spreadable butters, and even their whipped butter.
Challenge has a butter for every occasion, from cooking to baking to lathering on buttery goodness.
And you're not kidding when you say goodness. Challenge Butter has been farmer-owned from the start and is churned fresh daily from the freshest milk and cream milked from happy cows at its family-owned farms. Honestly, it's amazing that it's been made the same way since 1911.
Not to mention, their products are made without artificial preservatives, fillers, or dyes, and they have no added hormones. In fact, Challenge was one of the first brands to enforce raising cows without growth hormones.
Just pure butter goodness, the way the butter queen likes it.
Head to challengedairy.com to find a retailer near you, recipes, and more. And don't forget to check out this week's show notes for a coupon to save 50 cents on your next Challenge Butter purchase.
The holidays are all about creating magic, and nobody knows better than us that holiday magic often starts in the kitchen.
Also, nobody knows more than us parents that the pressure to create holiday magic at every turn can be totally overwhelming, which is what makes the newest line by KiwiCo the best one yet.
Just when we thought we couldn't love KiwiCo more, they have gone and launched Yummycrate, a fun and easy way to get hands-on with family-friendly, kid-tested recipes that help build kitchen confidence and teach a thing or two about science along the way.
Each month, Yummycrate delivers to your door high-quality kitchen tools, 3 recipes, and 2 projects that teach kitchen skills and encourage kids to explore the science of cooking.
Everything in the crate is designed to foster a love of science and cooking in kids ages 6 to 14. From experimenting with the effect of pH on dough to designing artistic creations with pancake art. Every Yummycrate takes your meal to the next level with kid-friendly science, stories, history, and fun food facts in the Yummy Zine magazine.
Before each crate arrives on your doorstep, you'll be provided with an easy-to-use shopping list, which includes alternative ingredient suggestions for different diets, from vegetarian to vegan, dairy-free to gluten-free. And with no commitment, you can pause or cancel at any time.
Build kitchen confidence with hands-on experimentation this holiday season with Yummycrate from KiwiCo. Get 50% off your first month plus free shipping with the code DIJFY at kiwico.com.
That's 50% off your first month at KIWICO.com. Promo code DIJFY, short for Didn't I Just Feed You? Megan, they say that this is the happiest time of year, but for me, it's more like the busiest time of year.
Oh, same. Sometimes there's so much to do that it's hard to slow down and take in the joy of the season, which is why I lean on tools from meal planning services to organizational apps to help me make this time of year as easy as possible.
Same. As you know, shopping and gift giving are one of my pleasures. So this year, I'm using an app called Elfster to help keep me organized and my shopping easy. Elfster is the #1 Secret Santa app in the world. It helps you create a free gift exchange so that you can organize gift giving with your family, friends, neighbors, and coworkers without stress.
I'm using Elfster too this year, and it's awesome. You just set the date and budget, and it literally takes care of the rest, even drawing names for you. As someone who's just moved cities this year, I especially love that Elfster can help organize virtual gift exchanges too.
It's true. Just add gifts from brands you love, including Amazon, Etsy, Fanatics, Nordstrom, Sephora, and Zappos to your wish list. Share, and you're all set. Everyone gets what they want.
Trusted by more than 17 million people, Elfster is like your personal Santa's little helper. Just go to elfster.com or download the Elfster app to get started today.
Happy holiday shopping.
Okay, can we talk about our audience though?
Yeah, I was
maybe
going to
not
say,
on
let's get back
TikTok,
to it.
and they need more cookbooks for weeknight cooking. Fair. Yeah.
Ooh. Yes. Okay, more for home cooks. We know people are thinking about just knocking out dinners on weeknights. We covered that. But what about home cooks who are looking to expand their home cooking horizons? Maybe they were inspired by cooking over the pandemic. Maybe they're just tired of cooking the same old thing and want to get into something kind of new, new flavors, new techniques. What do you think they should grab off the bookshelf? I didn't realize this was his own because I'm a huge fan of Bryant. We need to get him on the show. We've tried, but he was busy at the time, so I'm going to reach out again. He is. I know it was legitimate. I'm just saying, Bryant, if you're listening. Um, but I didn't realize that this was him expanding on his own and like moving into publishing and creating that platform. That's amazing. Awesome. Awesome.
It does very much feel like a new classic, like a joy of cooking or silver spoon. Is it silver spoon or silver palette cookbook? Like you have to have it because all of the like regular recipes that you should be cooking are there. I'm so curious because you mentioned Brian Terry. If this is categorized as vegan cookbook because that's what he's written previously, or if you have other vegan and vegetarian cookbooks that you would also recommend. Yes. I want to ask you some personal questions. Well, like your personal cookbooks, like what is one that you feel like one cookbook that you're from the last year that is like your favorite or that you cook from the most?
Okay, so kind of riding that, and maybe you have something to add here, maybe you don't, but not just favorites from the last couple of years, but how about a classic cookbook that you still think is highly giftable, something that maybe you think is absolutely essential for everybody to own?
I love this question, Stacey, and category because I think sometimes, and obviously we're a little guilty of it, right? Like we bring you on and we want to talk about all the cookbooks that came out this year, but there's something to be said about like the well-worn cookbooks on our shelves and who we gift those to. Like I remember growing up, my mom had a copy of The Joy of Cooking, and my siblings and I like fought over who gets to have mom's copy of Joy of Cooking with her little notes in the margins, which when we left the house, she gifted us all our own copies, which is kind of like a funny story, right? Like nobody's getting her copy. We're each getting our own. But I think there's something also like you don't have to buy a new cookbook. You can find these books that we're talking about as classics, like in a used bookstore, secondhand. So it's a really great opportunity to gift something without spending a lot of money.
Can I throw a surprise question at you? But it just occurred to me that there are a whole bunch of cookbooks that got released in 2020 that didn't get quite the same kind of push and press because of the pandemic. It's just personal to me. You know, like we couldn't go on tours, we couldn't do appearances, we couldn't, some of us even get to television because some of the books that were released early in the pandemic before people were even figuring out how to do Zoom media appearances. So is there any cookbooks that you want to give a shout out to from 2020 or any span in the pandemic that you feel like was really great and didn't get quite enough love? Yes, 100%.
Yes.
Thank you. Don't feel pressured to do that. I'll talk about my stuff. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about it. But yeah, I love that you make that because I think I think my audience and the people who would pick up that book, that recipe feels a little bit outside of what might be their comfort zone. And the classic fried chicken recipe is so popular. But that is actually one of my favorites because, like, when I'm feeling inspired, that's the kind of thing that I love to cook myself. So that makes me happy.
I was going to say, I know for a fact that we linked to it in last year's cookbook guide. Yeah. Oh, no. Hmm.
Yum.
I think
Okay.
that's a great pick. I have one more question, but
Yeah.
Stacy looks like she's going to come in with another surprise
No,
question.
no, not at all. I think that this last question is the one that we all really, really want to know.
Wait, is it?
I think so.
So my question was, we record a little bit before the end of the year every year with you. Is there a cookbook that you don't have your hands on yet, but you're like highly anticipating you can't wait to cook from? Okay, good. Also, isn't that everything that you want to eat in like January? Maybe, I mean, I know there's the whole like, oh, we're going to put everything in the slow cooker and we're going to have like stews and stuff, but also like a beautiful grain salad that incorporates those seasonal vegetables sounds so good to me right now. So I think I'll be craving that even in the new year. Yes. Yeah. Expanding your thoughts about grains too, because I wouldn't have thought about cookies in there. Just add it to my list. All right. Before we let you go, is there any category or anything that we didn't ask you about that you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Good. Well, we are always so happy to see your face and have you on the podcast. And thank you for your time
Thank
today.
you so much, Brian.
Stacey, I feel like we should get Samantha to add to cart noise that just happens after every cookbook.
I love
that Brian mentioned. Like, I feel like I had many of the cookbooks on my wish list, and now I'm just like, you know what? Brian said they're great. I'm buying them, gifting
100%.
myself the gift of cookbooks. What was one cookbook that either Brian mentioned or maybe that he didn't mention that is on your wish list this year?
Okay, so he actually mentioned all of the ones that I could think of from this year.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to mention one from last year.
Okay. Is it Winner Chicken Dinner?
No, it's not. I'm
just kidding with you.
Copies of those. Surprise, surprise. I really want and don't have yet the Barbuto Cookbook. The full title is The Barbuto Cookbook, California Italian Cooking from the Beloved West Village Restaurant. It's by Jonathan Waxman. There's a foreword by Marcus Samuelson. Jonathan Waxman is a wonderful chef who owns a restaurant called Barbuto in the West Village of New York City in Manhattan. It's such a fantastic, it has a neighborhood vibe, but he's a famous chef and it became kind of world renowned, but it still managed to always keep this gray neighborhood, New York City energy. And then it closed and it was heartbreaking. And it turns out that Barbuto has just recently reopened. And it's such a joy. It's such a New York City landmark. And I'm going to just say it because I know everybody loves Zuni's chicken. Legit. It's for real. It's delicious. I've cooked it. I've eaten it at the restaurant. But Jonathan Waxman's roast chicken, number one, hands down.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. And I've written a book on chicken. It's so freaking delicious. And it has a little bit more of like a home style vibe to it. Like so much of his cooking, just really relaxed, but absolutely like top notch everything. So I want to get my hands on this cookbook.
Okay. I'm so glad / I think it's a little funny because your cookbook is like a restaurant chef cookbook. And the cookbook that I wanted to shout out that we didn't talk about with Brian is also a restaurant cookbook. I'm thinking of Mr. Jew's in Chinatown.
Yes.
By Brandon Jew. It's a book I already own, so I'm not saying it's on my wish list, but I kind of think everyone should have it.
I'm going to make you pick another one. But go ahead, talk about it. Yeah. I want to know something that's on your wish list.
Well, this will make it taste good. And Molly Boz's Cook This Book. I already have Jesse Shevchuk's cookie book that I think everyone should be picking up. So there's kind of that bit of it where it's like, I have most of the cookbooks I want, or I'm buying them for myself. But can we talk about Mr. Jew's in Chinatown?
Yes.
We had Christine Gallery, who helped produce all the recipes in the book, on as a guest, and she talked to us about like what it's like to turn restaurant recipes into a cookbook. But I just think it's like a beautiful book, and sort of like To Asia with Love, it's all the things that you like want to eat and cook at home, and maybe you just like need a little more guidance on how to do that in a smart way. So I think everyone should get it. You're going to make me pick another cookbook.
I mean, you don't really have to, but I want something like, I would really like something that isn't on this list that's also on this list.
Okay. So Dory Greenspan, who is one of the best bakers that writes cookbooks. I mean, she's a prolific cookbook writer, but she has more of an everyday cookbook out this year called Baking with Dory. Salty, sweet, and simple. So it's everything from like flourless chocolate cakes to cookies. I would definitely bake from it if someone bought that for me as a gift.
All right. I love it. I love Dory Greenspan too.
Yes, she's a great personality too. Okay, so I think this could be like a very fun thread in our listeners community too, about what cookbooks everyone else has on their wish list, or maybe if there's a category of cookbook that we didn't hit and you need suggestions. I feel like we could always get Brian to be our secret email shopper for cookbooks.
Secret email shopper. I like it.
So tell us what other cookbook categories you need filled out, either by joining our community or finding us on Instagram or DMing us or emailing. However you want to find us, we want to hear from you.
And if you love hearing from us as much as we love hearing from you, be sure to sign up for our newsletter. We only email you twice a week, once to let you know that a new episode is published and another to share a must-have tip or product of the week. It's totally worth it. So find the link to sign up on our site or in our Instagram bio.
And last but never least, don't forget to subscribe to Didn't I Just Feed You wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have a minute, leave us a rating or review. It's kind of like a gift for us.
It's true. A huge thank you to our editor, Samantha Gatzik. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Megan. Stay sane and well fed until next week.
Be sure to subscribe to Didn't I Just Feed You wherever you're listening. And don't forget to rate and review.